Thomas Middleditch here. You may know me from Silicon Valley, just to announce my involvement with the Commodore project. As a contributor of sorts, we've come up with a title for me, probably just to placate me.
Could an iconic computer brand be brought out of hypersleep and rebooted? That's the idea of YouTuber PERIFAX.
His recent video has stirred the retro tech world. But can he actually bring Commodore back to life?
He says all will be revealed in part 2 of his series, Let's Buy Commodore.
Looks pretty good, right? Oh, hello. Welcome back to Commodore Corner. Good job, Puppy Fractic. She's been guarding it while we've been away for a few weeks. And the question on all of your lips, chicken lips perhaps, is, did we do it? Did we buy Commodore? Still feels very surreal to even say as a sentence. Well, I'm going to reveal all in part 7, but here in part 2, I'm just kidding, of course. But first, it is necessary, I think, to do a very quick recap. For those of you wondering, buy Commodore? What, in the flip phone? So yes, in part 1 we explored why Commodore means so much and what was at stake if the trademarks were lost or sold off to money-hungry corporations. 2 trademarks had genuinely lapsed recently, including one from 1982, an absolute classic, lost forever. So it really was now or never. We also talked about plans to help kids the same way that Commodore helped us as kids through something called Commodore Care. No, it's not like Apple Care, don't worry. And yes, we styled Commodore Corner in the classic rainbow colours famous from the Commodore 64 logo and box and adverts. Something which amusingly triggered a few people. Imagine getting angry at a rainbow. Well, anyway, the big moment was that ending. Apparently, we've got a reply from Commodore. Sean just texted me, and he said there's something unexpected in it. I don't know what that means, and I'm about to find out.
Yes, we can grant you an exclusive license, but your team seems to know Commodore better than we do. We might like to sell you the whole company.
Here's something else watching that back. And yes, they genuinely did offer to sell us the whole company. And the support since I put that video out, absolutely outstanding. It surpassed all of our expectations. News outlets picked it up. Thousands of you left amazing comments. Emails poured in. And more teary eyes in that comment section than at the end of, well, ET, I think. The vast majority of you agree the world needs Commodore again. And if you're in the skeptical 1.8%, look, I get it. I totally get it. I love Commodore as much as you do. You've been rug pulled by YouTubers before. We've been scammed by iterations calling themselves Commodore before. But, that's why we stepped up to do this, to save Commodore, to save the brand. But trust me, I know how protective you guys are of this, but I'm in the same community. I'm one of you. I'm so protective of Commodore. It's tied to my childhood. It's tied to just magic. I've never been more excited to do something in my life than this.
Because you love this, right?
I won't let you down. More on that in a second. But to that big question then, what happened next? Well, I'm going to hand over to PERIFAX to let us all know. So, real long story short, as of a few weeks ago, I am the acting CEO of Commodore Corporation.
Oh my God. What?
Right.
Wow.
Where we are right now is we have completed the acquisition of Commodore.
Bloody hell. That's just amazing.
It is, isn't it?
Good
It's very real.
Lord. Can you believe that? Is just mind-numbing.
Yeah, we actually did it. So let me clarify. Have we signed a share purchase agreement with the previous owners of Commodore? Yes. Do they recognize us as acting CEO, CFO, CTO, COO, and C64O? Yes. And have we paid them? No. But it's fine, it'll be fine. We do now own Commodore. I just got queasy. I'm still so excited about it. And goosebumps. Look at that. It's truly mind-blowing. Ow. Oh, I'm fine, don't worry. We realise that's what happens if you don't accept the terms and conditions of the C64X. But right off the bat of that mind-blowing news, I just want to spell out to you how we ensure that the company is always run in the best interests of both the community and of Commodore. And to ensure it, I've set up the holding company as a public benefit corporation. It's not a non-profit. I mean, we need profit because my main job is to make sure Commodore doesn't go bankrupt again. But it does mean that built into the bylaws and articles of the company is a requirement to preserve and promote retro computing. It's something I've had on my website and Patreon for years, my mission to keep those beautiful vintage machines in the public consciousness for future generations. So why not put Commodore at the heart of that mission? What's Lady Fractic doing there? So now to a subject that we can all agree on. Money! And you're probably asking, what was the deal to acquire Commodore? Yeah. Well, 7 months of meetings doesn't make very good viewing, but let's just say it went something like this. But what's the cost? Okay, well, firstly, context. Steve Jobs said that the Apple logo was valued at 100 million and would take 10 years to recreate. But CNN said recently the Commodore logo is still recognizable by 87% of people. So you could, in a fun way, kind of cheekily argue that the Commodore brand is worth $87 million. And Commodore sold for about 17 million back in the 90s. It was valued by Brand Finance in 2008 for 79.8 million. And even Atari was valued, adjusted for inflation, in 2018 when it refloated for around 17 million. So you probably would estimate that the average value of Commodore was somewhere in amongst all those figures. But I negotiated really hard for all of you. And we agreed on a price in the low 7 figures, which I think for something of this value, and because I know what we can do with it going forward, I think that's a steal. Although our wonderful angel investors have got us partway there at the moment, we still haven't raised all the funds. Now, talking about money isn't really the most exciting part of the video, but we are so grateful so many of you asked how you can help financially. So at the end of this video, I'll quickly explain why, legally, we are not allowed to open fundraising to everyone just yet, and only to accredited angel investors. Now, to try to raise the rest of that money, I've been deep in the world of pitch decks and cap tables and Zoom calls, and often to millionaires and a couple of billionaires, including some household names who don't want to be named. So how do we raise the rest of the dosh? Well, what makes sense to everyone is to raise money from something far more interesting than you typing your credit card number in a website and then getting an email back. We're Commodore now. We should start the same way Commodore started, by selling really cool stuff. Tangible things that you can hold, but not this, because when you see what we've got planned, well, it's going to feel like Christmas 1985 all over again. But you see, the other previous Commodore iterations, they've been doing it for the money. They didn't own Commodores as kids, most of them, but we're doing it for the love of the brand and the technology. And I genuinely believe if you approach things that way, you just can't fail. So with that in mind, what is my vision for Commodore? Let me tell you a story. In 1994, Commodore didn't go bankrupt. It blipped into a parallel universe and continued on where social media never rose to damage society. That's why so many of us have felt such strong nostalgia for Commodore. Echoes through the fabric of space-time as if Commodore was still with us on a certain plane. Throughout the years that followed, the retro movement grew until its strongest point ever right now. As if without realizing it, we were trying to pull back that long-lost friend from another cosmic level. Until suddenly, 30 years later, last Tuesday, it worked. Through the sheer willpower of dreaming that it were true, Commodore has been pulled back into our universe and now continues its journey by offering one thing that so many people feel deep down that they're missing. Do you remember how tech felt in the late 90s and early 2000s? Sort of techno-optimism, they call it. It was retro-futuristic, fresh, inviting. No pop-ups and overflowing inboxes and boring black rectangles that all look the same and took our attention away from our loved ones. All that transparent tech and metallic clothing symbolized and reflected clarity, hope, and freedom. Social media stands for the opposite: toxicity, distraction, addiction, and harm. It just all went wrong. Technology that was meant to help us, we became enslaved to it. It just went too far. And we're on another precipice right now with AI, but this time the feeling isn't optimism. Now, you might have been following my digital minimalism playlist where I showed ways to get back to a retro dumb phone, for example. And my gosh, I can't begin to tell you how freeing that really is. I genuinely take it out every single time I go out with the family, and that's my phone. No Facebook, no pop-ups, no Slack channel, no emails. It's just do it. Trust me. And the other day on Instagram, not that I use it, I heard about this on my flip phone via SMS. A lady posted a video about unboxing a BlackBerry that she'd got because she just wanted to get rid of her iPhone. And the video got 6 million views and just thousands of people saying they want that tech back. So in our story, in my vision, Commodore has blipped back to this reality from the early 2000s, late 90s to save us from that. Simply to give us the future we were promised. Commodore devices today will offer digital minimalism, of course, perfect if you're looking for a detox there, but not just retro, but also the future. And the pinnacle of all of that, well, that'll be out next year, because we can't stay stuck in that past forever. So of course we will honor things like the Commodore 64 and Amiga. After all, only Amiga makes it possible. Our feet are firmly planted in those two markets, as you saw, honoring our past, innovating the future. And by future, I don't just mean modern PCs like the Commodore 64X running its fantastic retro-futuristic Commodore OS Vision 3, but you're going to join in the R&D of brand new products right here on Retro Recipes, your behind-the-scenes portal to everything going on at Commodore. Did you notice the updated channel name? Like I said, I'm doing this for all of us, and you're all up here with me. If you ever dreamed of working for the original Commodore, well, my hope is a little bit through this channel, and even more so on the Patreon, it'll feel like you are. But of course, an official Commodore YouTube channel will already exist, will also exist, I should say, Freudian slip. But through that, you'll get, commercials, official product announcements, and more on the sort of corporate plane. Don't worry, I'll still do other content here, of course. Commodore isn't shy about its love for other brands. Not. But yeah, I've got some plans actually for a ZX Spectrum upgrade. And by that, I mean upgrading the Spectrum Next to the Commodore 64 core.
Ooh, careful. That's fighting talk in the 8-bit trenches.
What do you mean? I love the Specky. But anyway, look, let me know what you think about the retro-futurism vision of Commodore coming from the 90s to save us all. So that's the vision, but how are we going to bring Commodore out of hypersleep and make it the real Commodore again? Who have we added to the team? Elon Musk began coding at the age of 11 on a Commodore VIC-20 and sold his first game for $500. Just a fun fact that I thought I'd throw in there. Anyway, here's who's back working at Commodore. Bill Hurd, father of the Commodore 128 plus 4 Commodore 16, is on board as technical advisor and shareholder. We are super proud to have him on board. He's still in touch with Bob Yanes and Albert Charpentier, fathers of the SID chip and the Commodore 64 itself, which means we're in touch with them now too. Albert's been helping Commodore with a new project coming up here soon. Michael Tomczek joined Commodore in April 1980 as assistant to the president, founder Jack Trammell, and became the product manager, nicknamed the VIC Czar of the VIC-20. He led the VIC team, coined user-friendliness as their core motto, and guided the VIC-20's design, packaging, marketing, and launch, making it the first home computer to ever sell 1 million units.
Listen, this is a very... I have been rejecting all kinds of offers to be involved in various things. I have my own venture, but obviously I have a long history with Commodore, and Commodore is in my DNA. I'm doing this more as a labor of love than anything. I'm available 24/7, whatever it takes. When I get involved in something, I'm totally involved.
I couldn't be.
It's my
more
pleasure.
happy.
It's my pleasure. And you're very cool. I mean, I like to
thank you.
deal with cool people.
Having Michael back on board today as our senior advisor just brings unparalleled and invaluable authenticity to our Commodore revival. But more than that, I really wanted someone on board who I could turn to and say, what would Jack Trammell have done? Hopefully not have a Jack attack. James Harrison manned the Commodore tech support hotlines from the Milton Keynes office in the UK in the 90s, and he is back at Commodore again, working as our technical support manager. When you email Commodore Tech Support, you'll be speaking to him or Puppy Fractic. David Pleasance, Joint Managing Director of Commodore UK, is now our Heritage and Legacy Advisor. And he perhaps most famously invented the movie tie-in bundle that's still used today from brands from Xbox to PlayStation and so on. But David is a huge ass. Asset. David is a huge asset to us, and personally, in all seriousness, I'm very proud to have him on board. You know, David was the guy for many of us who say, you know, we wish Commodore had never gone the way it did, from ESCON to Tulip and so on. He was the guy trying to save us from all that. Along with Colin Proudfoot, who was the joint managing director, David and Colin attempted a management buyout, and they just couldn't quite raise enough funds to complete that transaction, which means it went to ESCOM instead. So when we do complain about the legacy of Commodore since the 1990s, it was David trying to save us from all of that. But not only that, he helped make the Commodore UK branch the most successful branch of all the Commodore divisions. And he also helped create the Commodore Music Maker Compendium. And for those of you that remember, that's what got me started in Commodore. I bought one from Dixon's in 1985. And that, you could say, in turn, is what led to all of this. Maybe David, he did save Commodore after all.
Really nice guy. Bit of a god, because he used to, when he did come down, it was like, Dave is here.
Well, you might have to get back into that routine. And someone else getting into a routine will be PCBWay as one of our hardware partners, helping make their great quality PCBs for at least one special upcoming project. We'll be flying to the factory to meet with them soon, and we'll take you along right here on Retro Recipes. Hans Olsen was hired by Commodore Denmark, where he gave demos and presented their games and computers at malls and to developers. And he'll be back in the world of Commodore demos alongside PR officer Tim Morgan, who we had a little help convincing to join us, where you'll see them at conventions demoing like it's 1982. And even Compute's Gazette is getting in on the action with us, coming back into the world with us as their issue 1 cover story. Huge thanks to them for delaying their launch 3 months to tie in with our big reveal as well. Hugely appreciated. And how cool is it that all these things are coming back into our parallel universe again? But that's just the tip of the iceberg. In part 1, I proudly announced Jerry Ellsworth, creator of the C64 DTV. She sold about 1 million of those on QVC alone. She's back as one of our technical advisors and advisory shareholder. But here's who else is joining Commodore. Visual artists Jem Tejkam and Dan Tutil, Marvin Droogsma, Gideon Zweitzer, Jim Drew, Jake Young, Ewan Wilcox, webmaster Matt Grandis, and others too cool to mention, all join me and my fellow co-founders on this mission possible. Now, if I stopped there with original Commodore engineers and managers coming back into the fold to keep those 47 trademarks warm and cozy and really inject some of that original Commodore DNA back into the company, I think you'd all be happy enough. But we've got a couple more surprises still.
Hello, Thomas Middleditch here. You may know me from the Middleditch and Schwartz improv comedy specials on Netflix, or maybe probably Silicon Valley from HBO. I am calling in to announce my involvement with the Commodore project, not only as an investor, but as a contributor of sorts. We've come up with a title for me, probably just to placate me, but Chief Creative Officer, I believe, is the latest iteration of the title. Basically, it all goes through me. No, jokes aside, Perry came to me with a vision for the future of the Commodore brand. And what he laid out for what's to come, basically as a launching pad for future products was super exciting, but also his awareness and his idea for how to consolidate what's already there, to offer a bedrock for the existing Commodore Amiga community, which is awesome. I myself grew up with an Amiga. That's right. Yeah, an Amiga. Kind of fancy, I know. But Amiga was my gateway drug to my gaming addiction, which I've now turned into a career, I guess, on Twitch. Yeah, whatever. Give me a follow. Twitch.tv/Middleditch. It's not a big deal. But yeah, I'm a pro gamer. But I owe it all to the Amiga. I mean, I grew up playing games like Speedball 2, which is my favorite of all of them. Shadows of the Colossus, Turrican, even the Talking Animator. You know? All of these games really helped me as a young boy. I don't know if this resonates, but I kind of didn't have a lot of friends. I was bullied a lot. I was lonely. And I think that my home as a boy, which was the Amiga, and for a lot of people Commodore, deserves a second chance in the spotlight, and also to pay homage and to honor and to foster a home for what already is. But I'm stoked to be involved, and thank you, Perry, for inviting me. And right, yes, now back to Perry for sports. Oh, not sports. Okay, for computers. All right, back to Perry for computer talk, for computer boy talk and girl. Oh, I'm getting another. Oh, hello. Now back to Perry for computer talk, ungendered.
Now, before the rest of the fun stuff, some fun stuff. You see, some folks misunderstood something that I said in part 1 about crowdfunding. Now, I wish it was possible for people to offer crowdfunded actual shares in such a licensing company, but sadly, international investing laws make that tricky. It's totally illegal on Kickstarter to do that, so we've been trying to make that work and organize all of that for you. We even did a series of pitches to startengine.com, but they only have a 1% acceptance rate, and it just wasn't meant to be. Yeah, they genuinely thought that I was saying that the community should buy Commodore for me, with me having no risk whatsoever, but I thought it would be obvious that isn't remotely what I was saying, nor is it what I said in actual words, and nor is it remotely what I was thinking. But it's on me, okay, it's my bad. I didn't carefully explain because I sort of assumed people knew how those kind of crowdfunding and share funding websites worked. So let me clarify. If you bought $100 worth of crowdfunded shares, you'd be buying $100 worth of Commodore shares. You would own $100 of Commodore. It doesn't come to me. You are investing it in the company. So that's also why I reached out specifically to Start Engine, co-founded by Howard Marks. He worked directly with Jack Tramiel, Michael Tomczyk, and the 1980s Commodore team. And indeed, he responded very promptly. We exchanged 25 emails, and I did 4 Shark Tank or Dragon's Den style pitches to Start Engine. Unfortunately, as I said in part 1, they did decline. They have a lot of Securities and Exchange Commission, SEC, rules that they have to follow. So fair enough. So you might say, well, why didn't you go with another company? Well, I did. Trust me, I told you it's been 7 months, this process. There's a lot I can't say in a 30-minute video, but here's the problem. Almost every one that I went to, in fact, all the American ones, won't allow investors from Canada or from the UK unless the UK investor earns over £200,000 a year and is therefore an accredited investor. And I can't, in good conscience, put out a pitch saying, please, let's buy Commodore, unless you're Canadian. Imagine the flack I would get. I mean, I got flack for offering shares in Commodore when I wasn't offering shares in Commodore. But some of you did suggest other routes and other frameworks to do this. Here's one. It looks really good. Allow investment from anyone, as long as that anyone is in Germany or Austria. Yeah, and it's just the same story over and over. So there's no easy way to allow all of you to buy a slice of Commodore. But I am going to keep trying. Plan B would be to open this up in a way all of you can buy shares and invest in Commodore starting in a couple of years. Now, we've waited 30 years, all right, so that's not the end of the world. But for now, we are raising capital under a SEC Rule 506C using a Y Combinator safe framework. If that means anything to you, you are probably an angel investor. So reach out to me directly at the form below. Just select the option Angel Investor, and you will be perhaps an angel to the whole community. Open to accredited investors only. Now, here's a quick-fire FAQ of some of the other things that you guys raised.
What gives you the right to decide who can use the name?
Well, it's not a right, it's a duty. We've got to protect this brand that we love so much. As I said, we don't want another Commodore shredder. But don't worry, we're not going to go all Nintendo and sue you just for mentioning the name Commodore. What we are doing is streamlining the usage of the brand and the logo, along with releasing some of our own products more soon.
Can you buy Sinclair next, please? This will never be the original Commodore.
And what if we got 47 trademarks from 1982? Or original Commodore engineers back? Original executives, assistants, ROMs, Amiga. I mean, at some point, it does start to become the real Commodore, right? So that's all we want. I think that's what all of us would really want.
Is this a personal dream or a business?
Well, it's both. The most successful businesses start with somebody who has a dream and a passion.
Did you do this because YouTube monetization got harder?
No, as I clearly said in part 1, it started in October when I received a random review request for this, a Commodore 64 PC, and it snowballed from there.
Won't you ruin it with too much licensing?
Yeah, no, I'm going to ruin it. No, quality first, curated carefully, quality controlled, not mass junk.
How can I get my product licensed, Commodore?
We know how many incredible community projects there are out there, and in the coming months we're going to open up an official way for you to apply for your product to get the Commodore license or to appear on the Commodore website. More soon.
What about the Commander X16? Can the 9-bit guy call that the Commodore X16 like he originally wanted?
God, that is beautiful, isn't it? I particularly like the logo. I've chatted with David and he knows the offers on the table, although he has a lot of keyboards in stock with Commander already printed on them, so that ship might be a bit hard to turn.
Can nostalgia really sustain a business?
Of course not. But what makes you think it would just be old stuff? I mentioned in part 1 the slogan, honouring the past, innovating the future.
Is there demand beyond Gen X?
I mean, just check the comments under part 1. There are even 12-year-olds getting involved in the conversation.
Why aren't you taking any risk with this? Instead asking angel investors to pay. I mean, sure, you put 7 months aside to get the deal done, but come on, what else?
Let's just say we opened a level 2 homeowner bonus round with the bank. Yes, that was terrifying, and yes, I'll get the grey hairs recolored.
Achievement unlocked. Mild financial terror.
Yeah, and similar story for all the others on our team as well, from HELOCs to personal loans to credit cards to night work in Amsterdam. Thanks again, Puppy Fractic.
Aren't your commenters just a captive audience, though?
Okay, well, 60% weren't subscribers, and my mum's dead, and anyway, she didn't have that many accounts. But look, again, I understand if you're skeptical. But what I would say is it is easier to tear things down than to try and build something meaningful up. Trust me, I know, we've got a toddler. But that's what I'm trying to do. That's what the whole team here is trying to do, build something really meaningful. And we're succeeding in so many ways I haven't been able to tell you about yet for legal reasons.
To chickens with lips.
If you want to get involved as well, we do still need a bit of help. We're looking for merchandise designers and artists, an experienced social media manager. Yes, Commodore's here to save people from social media, but to do that, it needs a presence on social media. Oh, and if you own a license from a classic 1980s or 90s game, get in touch too. But not just old games. Yes, we're working on some new games as well. We've already got 2 in the pipeline. But how about a Let's Buy Commodore game? You have to go around collecting all the pieces of IP, the trademark jigsaw pieces, put them together so you can buy Commodore. And the final boss, an internet troll. You win by unplugging them as they realize how nice the real world actually is, and they walk into a Commodore shop and buy the very product they criticized. Well, as we wrap up the video, I hear you ask, what is that new product? What will people actually play that game on? Well, here it is. I'm so proud to announce the brand new Commodore.
One man can make a difference, Perry.
or one woman, or dog. The Fractics, lone curators in a vintage world. The world of retro recipes.
Let's buy Atari.
Not.
And you call yourself a CEO.